someone could have been killed or seriously injured. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So this morning I am in my happy place, my garden. This is specifically my driveway garden. Now I don't get to do this very often because of everything that's going on, but when I do, I cherish the moments even more. So this is 5 days after my husband's birthday, and this was very bittersweet this year because we could have lost him, and that's a story for another day, maybe, if I decide to tell it. But anyway, I'm in my driveway garden this morning, and I'm hearing some cracking sound, and I'm here right next to my gate, which leads down my driveway. So I'm looking out, looking over at this tree that is on my neighbor's property but borders our driveway. And the evening before, we actually go on walks in the evening, and the evening before when we all came in, I noticed that one of the limbs was hanging down lower than it typically does. I asked my hubby if he thought it looked like it was lower, and he said it kind of did, but we, brushed it off and went about it. This has been a tree that we've been kind of really, I don't know how to put it, worried about, because it hangs right over our house. One of the biggest limbs hangs right over our house, and during a windstorm, or not even a windstorm, but like an ice storm, like a little wind, it will drop his branches. And we've asked the previous neighbor, the one that owned the house previously, if he would want to cut it down, and we would split the cost. And he was not interested, and I guess I know why now, because we've been in this house for 10 years. He was actually losing the house, so it went back to the bank, who then turned around and sold it to a flipper, who sold it to the current tenant. And we asked the man that was the company that was actually fixing it up at the time if he would, cut it back, cut it down, whatever. We've asked the real estate agent when she was showing it, nothing. And then we asked the new owner when he moved in if he would do something about the tree, and nobody did. Now this tree is humongous. I even called my city about it, and they said because it was on private property, they could do nothing about it. Now this new neighbor, the one that owns it now, he actually works for the local utility company, and for all intents and purposes, a supervisor, a boss, or whatever. So I'm sure he can get a crew over here to cut this tree at least back off the wires, because it is on the wires as well, or down even. So on May 15th, about 10 o'clock, as I looked out over my fence, I could see this limb coming further and further down. It was almost touching the sidewalk. That's actually my trash can. The city distributed trash can that stands about, I would say, 3 feet high. I set it underneath this limb that was I could see slowly drooping down now at this point in time, over across the walkway, so nobody would walk under this limb. So at that point, I called my city again, and they pretty much said the same thing they did when I first called them. They could do nothing about it. But what she did say she could do was send out a letter to the owner of the house and tell them that the tree posed a hazard and they needed to do something about it. So that was a step forward. So at that point, I figured there was nothing else I could do. I put my phone inside and went back to tending to my garden and trying not to think about this tree overhanging my house. And literally not 10 minutes later. So as I was still out there tending to my garden, the cracking got louder and louder. So I ran back into my house to get my phone again. I'm home alone, so there's nobody in the house. I'm outside, kind of away from the tree, so I wasn't too worried about that. This happened. Yup, that's my driveway. That's the tree limb that has come down. And it happened so quickly. 5 steps up my back door to the counter, which is just inside the back door, to grab my phone and come back out. It actually came down. And it is pretty much blocked my driveway. It's come down across the sidewalk and into the road. So I called my city back again, and I tell her that the tree limb is now down. It is blocking the sidewalk and partially into the road. Someone could have been killed or seriously injured. That's the sidewalk, and that's the apron of my driveway. So about a half an hour after my second call to the city to tell them that the limb had come down and it was now across the sidewalk and partially into the road, they sent out a work crew, I guess you call it, to remove the part that was into the road. And then about 10 minutes later, we got the gallery come out and stand around and watch them while they did their work. So after my hubby came home, we got to work. He pulled out his chainsaw and his machete, and we got to work chopping this tree up. And the neighbor across the street volunteered to help us if we needed help. And 2 doors down came out and volunteered to help us if we needed help as well. Well, the neighbor that the tree is, he did not come out. So that really frustrated me. I went knock on his door because I knew he was home because his company work truck was in his driveway. So I knocked on the door and I asked him if he was going to do something about the tree now that he completely saw that something needed to be done. He says he was working on it and he went back in his house. This is why I need to move. So basically, me and hubby was out there cutting up the tree. We were stacking it at the curb because in our city they actually take it away for free. So we stacked it at the curb. We didn't need it. We don't have a fireplace. We have a fire pit, but we already have some wood in the back already. So we were stacking it there, and probably about 20 minutes, half an hour later, the neighbor that the tree is on their property came out to help. So I went inside and left the 2 of them out there to do the finishing work of cutting up the tree and stacking it at the curb so it could be taken away. So this is what the tree looks like today. There are still some limbs that hang across the sidewalk, and there are 2 really big ones that still hang over our house. And as you can see, it is still in the wire and nothing has been done about it. I still have anxiety about this tree and I wish it was just gone. So the saying goes, good fences make good neighbors. Well, taking care of your trees when you know there's a problem makes good neighbors as well. And I wish I would have caught a picture of it, but I didn't. Not even half an hour or so after we had I stacked some of it too, of the wood at the curb, and we were finished, swept up the driveway and everything, and we were back inside. Literally, we heard someone loading that wood into the back of his pickup truck and carrying it away. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. God bless, and remember, stay safe and keep prepping.